Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest live episode of Vox Vomitus. I'm your host, Jennifer Ann Gordon, the author of Pretty Ugly, the Hotel series, and the Japanese Box, and other stories. Joining me today, as always, is my Vox Vomitus vixen, who is here on screen with us,
On the
Allison
moon,
Martine.
possibly. Yeah,
I mean, she might,
it's a thing.
it's okay. Last week, she wasn't here at first, and then I said her name, and she was summoned from the ether, and it was very
Yeah.
exciting. But she's
Mhm.
here today, Allison Martine, author of The Bourbon Books, which includes Dibs Since September, Move on Melinda, Climb the Salmon Ladder, and Ranchers Take Manhattan. Joining us today, back to Vox Vomitus, is David R. Slayton. He is here today to talk about his latest book, Rogue Community College. David, welcome back to Vox Vomitus.
Thank you for having me.
David, you've already been so lovely giving us like a little pep talk before the show.
It was when I was putting on my lipstick. That's all I
David
can do.
He was like, we're here, be kind to yourselves, give yourselves some grace. And that's exactly what we needed today. So David, this is going to, instead of talking about your book, you are going to give Allison and I therapy.
Sure,
Ooh,
we can do that.
Please.
Now, I am by no means a professional, but sure.
Are you licensed to do any of that?
No.
No,
That's
but
okay.
I mean, you have two very stressful full-time jobs right now. So why don't you should add therapist,
Ooh,
podcast therapist to the list.
unlicensed podcast
Unlicensed
Unlicensed.
podcast therapy.
Oh no.
I
There's a plot. An unlicensed
I know. I was going to say,
podcast
which
therapist.
one of us is going to steal that character for a book?
It's drawn into a terrible investigation when one of their patients is murdered. So.
Oh.
I love the automatic quotes. Folks, this is going to be so hard for me because I talk 80% with my hands, and my hands are holding my phone above my computer to deal with the technical issues I have. So I can't air quote because I will drop my phone.
If
and I
the
want to
phone goes flying.
What?
I said, if the phone goes flying, we know.
I know. If you see that and all of a sudden there's like a cat and a ceiling, we will know why. And if I'm too loud, tell me, because I don't know how I'm recording on this though.
You're okay. So David, again, welcome back to Vox Vomitus. Tell our viewers who are just tuning in, who may not know you, a little bit about you, and then a little bit about Rogue Community College.
Sure. So, all about me. I grew up in Guthrie, Oklahoma. That'll take it. That's a lot. That'll be a whole show, maybe two.
That's good.
It'd be good. We can put people to sleep. So I grew up in Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I really loved fantasy and reading books, but I couldn't ever find books with diverse characters, particularly characters like me. So I grew up to write them, and that's pretty much my whole thesis statement of why I write what I write. Is I look for things that I was like, I really love to read a book like that. I can't find it. So I go and write it instead. Rogue Community College is certainly a reflection of that. It's the story of Isaac Frost. He's an assassin, but he hasn't killed anybody yet. This is his first job.
Yet.
He's sent undercover at the school. It's the Elves' new school for wayward practitioners of magic. And if you've read my Adam Binder series, White Trash Warlock, etc., this is a spinoff from that series. So Isaac is sent undercover at the school to destroy it from inside. But when he gets there, he starts to question his mission, particularly as he starts to catch feels for another student named Bran. And but if he doesn't meet the deadline on time, the Undertaker who raised him, and who sent him to do this job, the Undertaker is a title of a certain head of Assassin's Guild. And if Isaac doesn't get the job done on time, then the Undertaker will send somebody far worse to finish the job.
Who will do it without mercy.
Who will do it without
exactly.
mercy.
And Isaac's new friends will be in danger. So.
And his new friends were so great. I mean, I don't really want to give a spoiler, but there is like a makeover scene in this book. It has everything. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a montage.
I know, we were ready for the music to chip in, and then I realized I'm reading it and there's no music, so I'll have to just sing my own montage music.
I do love a good makeover. Don't we all love a good makeover montage?
Yeah, especially before a big dance.
Exactly. Elf prom.
Yeah.
Elf prom.
Elf prom is totally a thing, and I'm very
We
sad
should
that
have
no one ever
worn
asked me to
prom
wear prom.
dresses.
I don't
That's
have
a lot
any of
of
those
work.
that fit me, Jennifer.
Well, neither do I, but it wouldn't have to zip because nobody would have to see the back.
Okay, if I had that issue right now, how would I hold my dress up and this phone?
Look, this is the beauty of a live podcast. Ratings through the roof.
Through the roof when our dresses fall off, and then I had to explain to my children about wardrobe malfunction in Janet Jackson recently, and I'm like, why am I talking to a 9-year-old about this? Moving on.
About a nip slip. Yeah.
I didn't say that. I said wardrobe malfunction and how the media was unfair because she got blamed, and everybody's like, Justin Timberlake, just go ahead, go be a troll. It's fine. We're all good.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then, like,
exactly. Why is it all? Why does the guy totally get off for tearing off her shirt? But
Yeah, the white man gets off. The black woman is like, oh, by the way, you are now persona non grata, even though it's like, wait a second, that thing didn't come off by itself. Anyway, moving on. The outfits there did not have wardrobe malfunctions. They had magical characteristics, and I do kind of wish that I could always do magic for my clothing. I could just like magic into what I need. And can you make that happen?
unfortunately, no. That seems to be limited to people with a lot of magic, and even Hex's spell, the student who cast the transformation magic on Isaac, it only lasted, till midnight. So is a true Cinderella fashion.
The true Cinderella, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I did love coming back to the Adam Binder cinematic universe. I know you call this like the Liberty House series, so I'm going to try to remember that. But in my heart, it will still be the Adam Binder cinematic universe. And so
I call it the Binderverse. So
the Binderverse is perfect. Exactly. But I loved coming back to some of these characters that were maybe not front and center, and then you introduce all these other characters that Jennifer's like, there's more books after this, right? There's more books, because we're both like, yeah.
Like, I want an entire book about each one of the people in his friend circle now.
I would love that. They do get some cameos. I will say this: there are 2 more Adam books coming, and there are some cameos from RCC students. Jack, the librarian, for example, shows up in Redneck Revenant, and Isaac shows up in Redneck Revenant, and then I'm writing backwards Banshee now, and I haven't quite decided on who all shows up, but I know at least Jack and probably Daffodil will make an appearance.
I know, I'm like, Daffodil.
We're like, Daffodil.
We
worst ridiculous flower name, and yet we love it anyway. And it's like, and then Jack. There we go. So it's just there we are. Most outrageous flower name, and then Jack.
And they get like cutest couple among the student body. They win the cutest couple award. So.
Definitely.
Don't mind me moving. I can just see that we're getting comments. So I saw one coming up, and okay, maybe it didn't.
Is it I love Adam Binder?
It wasn't. Amanda was commenting, but maybe
Amanda would love these books.
Yeah, Amanda, if you haven't read these yet, go read.
Yeah. I'm like, I know Amanda, and these are right up her alley. That's why I'm like, though I want to say maybe she already read White Trash Warlock.
Well, this is David's. I'm trying to keep track of how many times we've had David on the show.
I was trying to remember too.
Well, because David's been on my show To the Moon for the first time I had him on, but then I think the second time we had him over here, show. And then we had him back for the Sun and the Void. Am I getting the name right?
Dark Moon Shallow Sea.
I knew there were planets involved. Yes. Dark Moon, Shallow Sea.
I knew it was dark something.
I'm like, I know there's like a sun and a moon kind of characters in it, and I just botched the name. I apologize. But yeah, so we've had you on. This is the 3rd time here, and this is the 4th time you and I chatted. So I should just have these things tattooed on my arm by now. But I can't really look at my arm because of Tom.
David is the busiest guy in publishing these days. It seems like you always have something new coming out. Like you've been, collectively with Allison, like we said, 4 times on our show. This is our 3rd time, and you have a full-time job. How do you, there must be magic involved, do it? Like,
teach
what is your
ways.
Not well.
Ways.
I'll be honest.
Not well.
I say this. Do you remember that bit from, and it kind of makes it as a meme from The Last Unicorn, where she says to the kitchen scullery maid, and she's older, and she says to the unicorn, "How dare you come to me now? When I'm this, where were you when I was a girl?" And I feel that really intensely sometimes because I love my life right now. I have the most amazing life, but at the same time, I'm like, I really needed this 20 years ago when I had more energy.
Right? Like, why doesn't
I
this
hear
hit when
you.
we're in our 20s and we're like, I only need an hour and a half of sleep a night?
Oh, I straight
Yeah.
up went to bed at 5 p.m. yesterday. I'm not even exaggerating.
5
I
p.m.?
5
I
p.m.
love it.
I logged off my computer
Good for you.
from the day job, looked at the writing I needed to get done, and said, you know what? If I could try to force out some words, but they're going to be garbage. So I just
Exactly.
I literally went to bed at 5 p.m. yesterday, and it was so essential. I couldn't think straight. So rim shot. But there is a whole thing there of
David made the first day joke of the
I
show. We
know.
were
I was
recording.
just
David made it
like-
first.
Same, Dave.
but you got to look at, for me, a lot of it's time management. So I looked at the things that had to go to make this work. I love playing Dungeons and Dragons, for example, and I had played almost consistently for 20 years. And I had a group I've been running for years. And once I started getting deadlines, I looked at the time management, so this has to go. I don't watch a lot of television. So people are always like, oh, have you watched this or that? I'm like, I don't have the time. Yeah. Generally, like a night like last night where I'm brain dead, we'll sit down and binge something together so I can get some time with my partner. But yeah, it's a matter of prioritizing. I'm hoping that we'll reach the point soon where I can just have the writing job, obviously.
Yes.
I'm probably pretty close to that in the next couple of years. But
then you can watch all the same stupid TV shows that we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, or he can watch them when he's not brain dead, because there are the kind of shows that you want to veg, but then there's some shows that you just can't veg out. You have to be paying attention in order to really appreciate them. So he can add those to his TBR, his TBW. I don't know. His watch list. I don't know.
Yeah, TBW.
To be watched.
TBW.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do. It's funny because I have that. I have brain dead TV that I can watch when I'm tired, and then I have TV. Like we never finished Legion. I really liked the first season, but like this is going to take. We can't binge it. We really have to think and watch it closely. So Legion's like on the back list.
Well, and I loved Legion, and I remember there was at one point I'm like, this is freaking me out too much. I need to be watching it when it's not so close to bedtime, because then it just completely screws with my neural processing when I'm asleep, and it's just weird and bad. And as you can hear in my voice, like I'm doing my Phoebe Buffet impression, and I'm going to start singing Smelly Cat soon. But yeah, that the whole idea of like you have to figure out, well, what can go, and sleep is never the thing that can really go, except when you're younger you can get away with it, but when you're older it's like, oh yes, and now I'm sick, and then it's going to take me 5 times longer to get better, and I'm falling behind in everything now. So that's unfortunately the one block there. Like, do we really need sleep? Yes,
we do.
Yes,
and
we do.
It's hard to bounce back now. Like, so I was away this last weekend visiting friends, and there was a night that we stayed up until 4 a.m.
Crazy kid.
I am still I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
Like, it's been 4 days, and I'm like, oh no, I stayed up late one day, and now.
Well, and it's so many things, like drinking. I used to drink a couple of times a year, and I was like, but now it's like I don't want to drink on a Friday night because I spend my whole day Saturday in a fog, and that's writing time. That's prime writing time. So you have to prioritize. You have to figure out what's important to you, and you have to figure out what you can let go of that is not as important to you. Right. But the good news is, for me, writing is my happy place. So nothing makes me happier than sitting down and writing for 2 hours. Like it's my stress relief. It's my joy. So while I do feel that energy deficit, like my partner will be like, you're getting kind of grumpy. Have you written today? So,
maybe you're just not being very nice to me, so I'm getting grumpy. Why are you blaming me for that there, huh? Well, and go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, so when did you first have the idea for Rogue Community College? Did this happen while you were like mid Adam Binder book and you thought, I really have to explore some of these characters? Like, how did
I thought about it.
Yeah.
So Adam, it's called the Liberty House series because the school is based on Liberty House, which is the institution that Adam was institutionalized in when he was a teenager. And when the elves rebuild their school, or rebuild the watchtower and start the school, they found it on that mortal anchor, that location. So that's where Liberty House comes into it. And I had a little bit of an idea. I think about like I was almost done with Trailer Park Trickster, the second book in the Atom series. Like, there could be something there. I've always loved X-Men. I've always loved Doctor Who.
And this was such X-Men vibes.
Yeah.
It has
when
strong
Allison and I were
X-Men
texting
vibe.
each other, and we were like, this is vintage X-Men meets like a little bit Umbrella Academy. Like,
yes, Umbrella Academy would be the other comp to it.
Love
Though
it.
it's not as family oriented.
it's not as family, but it was just as dysfunctional
I was going to say, but that
in a
also
good way.
it avoids a lot of those fun incest questions about Luther and Allison. So I appreciate the less family incest part. Thank you, David, to leave that out so that when
I'm
there's
a VC Andrews fan, so that doesn't bother me
like,
in the slightest.
Yeah, when we're catching feels, it's not for, but that's my brother. It's like, no, this isn't somebody that you're possibly kind of related to, but not, because creepy Luther.
Well, I feel
creepy.
like I was an only child, so I never had siblings, and I read a lot of VC Andrews. Like, so to me, I'm like, I don't care that they're dating, and everyone else.
Well, do you remember that? Like when Game of Thrones first came out, the whole thing with Cersei and Jaime.
Yes,
there was this massive like. There was this massive like incest everywhere thing in fiction for like 6 years.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, could we all calm down?
Or as we like to say, on a scale of Luke and Leia to Lannister, how much incest is in your book? Because that's really where it starts.
Zero.
But to be fair,
there will always be zero.
There will always be zero.
And to just clarify before Star Wars fans come at me, they didn't know. Neither one of them knew. Jaime and Cersei were twins, and they full on knew what was happening the whole time. Also, then you lose a hand. It's part of the deal. So anyway, but we're glad you didn't have that. And we were joking. We could have worn prom dresses, but the whole community college feel for this, I really love that, because one of my favorite shows is Community. And the whole feel of, you have people who are coming here at different stages in life, not necessarily, straight out of high school and ready to go take on the Ivy League world or any of that. And I feel like that represents so many people's experiences, and it's almost never reflected in fiction. So I love that you went there. What was your own inspo for saying, hey, we're going to do a community college, not like Magic Academy for the most elite? Because I love your tagline. It's like, there's the chosen, and then there's this.
Yeah, the tagline on the poster is "Chosen ones go to elite schools of magic." This one is for everyone else.
Yeah, I love that. I was like, that's the college I would have gone to.
Yes, it's the Festivus for the rest of us.
High school dropout, just like Adam in the Adam series, and I started out in community college. My education journey is a saga that, again, we will not bore everyone with, but it would take hours to explain it all. But
I like your saga, though.
I like the saga.
Because haven't you said you're the most educated high school dropout that there ever was? Like you were going for that record.
I love that.
I have 2 BAs and a master.
He's like, and I'm starting a doctorate. I was going to say, and then you're starting a doctorate, and your partner's like, you do that, and I will murder you in your sleep because you don't have time for that right now.
Every once in a while, I think about going back to school, and then I take my shoe off and hit myself in the head until the feeling goes away. But I didn't finish my bachelor's until I was 33, my first one. And then I had a pile of credits from all these schools. I transferred, and I originally came to Denver on a scholarship for poetry to the University of Denver, which they promptly cut. And that meant I had, so I had moved all the way here from Texas, and where I started at community college, and then was just starting to get my feet under me at the University of Denver when they said, well, we're not going to give you any money. And then I was a poor kid, and DU is a wonderful school, but it's extremely rich. And at the time it was extremely rich. This was forever ago. And they did not know what to do with somebody on scholarship. They did not know what to do with a poor kid. So there was this whole thing of, well, when your parents send your money, I'm like, my parents just pretend they're dead.
Like, what does that mean?
Pretend they have money. They don't. Moving on.
Yeah, just pretend they're dead, because I couldn't get it through anyone's brain. So anyway, I had to drop out. I had to get state, and then I couldn't pay out-of-state tuition because it was exorbitant. Did I say that right? Maybe. So I spent a long time.
I'm helping with the T's. Yes.
Thank you. So I spent some time getting residency, and then ended up finishing up at Metropolitan State College, now a university. And so my journey through education was this weird winding path. And that's really reflected in this. Hex, for example, she's a mom. She's She's already working on her bachelor's at one school when her magic manifests. So she moves herself. She ends up finding herself at Road Community College to learn how to control that and how to master it. Daffodil and Ford were both high school students. They both graduated. Isaac is 20. He's not the main character. He's never been to any kind of formal education.
Homeschooled.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In a different kind of curriculum.
In a stabby sort of curricula.
Yeah, I was loving some of his comparisons of like, we didn't do this. We didn't have that. It's like, yeah, you guys were busy learning how to murder people. So maybe some of the curriculum doesn't cross over with like literature,
like math,
and murder.
How do I write a
many
paper?
times do you have?
How do I write a paper? I will say I went to different colleges. I kept dropping out, running out of money, having to get, work full time, go back to school for like, a year, drop out. And there was like a time that had been so long since I'd actually, and then I went to a fine arts college and I graduated from that. And then I went back to school, like a real school. And I was like, how do I write a paper? Like, I just spent 4 years like taking clowning and taking all these like Shakespeare classes, but I didn't know how to like cite a source.
I want to know how clowns cite. That's like a thing. Can you tell me how clowns cite?
No.
You cram a lot in a small space like clowns in a clown car? No?
It wasn't that kind of clown.
Cornfield, never mind.
Yeah.
It's really more of a mime.
It's more of a mime thing, which, we did do that a little bit.
Well,
but I loved the like non-traditional education.
Yes.
Because for me, I think because I didn't go to a traditional college and I didn't live in a dorm and I didn't like have those experiences, I'm a sucker for kind of any book that takes place in a college. Love it. And then, like Allison said, we don't get a lot of like non-traditional schools. We don't get a lot of community colleges in literature. So
dark academia is a big thing right now.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the opposite. It's almost cozy academia.
Yeah,
I
was
love
cozy academia.
I mean, there's dark things afoot and dark things brought in, but the whole mission is positive. Like their practical experience stuff that they do is like, you're going to go help people. You're going to go save people. Not like, oh, there's a conspiracy to bring. And it's like, oh, the conspiracy was brought in versus the place itself is etched with darkness and evil and all that stuff. It's like,
right.
No,
and evil professors that are just like really cult leaders. And then somebody gets murdered.
There is a little murder. There's a little murder.
A little bit.
I mean, when one of your main characters is an assassin, like you're
not killed anybody
yet.
But
he does know other assassins.
Exactly. So,
they're his family.
It'll be fun if the series gets to continue. And it all depends on sales. I hope to. I did pitch 3 originally. They bought 1, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we want them to take the other 2.
Oh, I think they will. People seem to like it. I think this one's doing well. It's always interesting to figure out how a book will resonate when it's a spinoff, because it is. You don't need to have read the Adam books to understand this book at all.
That was going to be my question for you to tell people that.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt. Adam does get a brief cameo, and who he is explained. But I try to write all my books that way. Though Trailer Park Trickster Debbie Druid, you really can't understand Druid without Trickster. But I try to write my books in a way like I picked that up from some mystery writers where it's like, if you go out of order, it's not going to, ruin the story for you, but you'll probably have a little more enjoyment if you go in order.
Exactly. And I think that makes it really accessible, because people can be like, oh yeah, I started reading that and I didn't finish that yet, or there's still one more. They can go ahead, and other than the fact that Adam shows up, therefore he still exists and hasn't been sucked into a void somewhere. That's really all you get. Because sometimes that's really like, oh, it gives all these other spoilers. The spoiler is Adam exists. Sorry for the spoiler.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and it's nice to see him coming back in Redneck Revenant, because then we get to see how the events in RCC impact him, and then also characters and interactions with them, how that's going to impact Adam's existence. And since he's taking Redneck Revenant comes out in October of 2025, so the year after RCC came out, and I purposely set it with a time jump so that it's 3 years after Debbie Druid. So we get a slightly older. We get a slightly older Adam.
I was gonna say Adam's gonna be so grown up now.
He's 23. It's very
I
funny.
know,
to write him this
23,
way.
so grown up. I'm like, so grown up. He's a grown man.
That is literally up my age.
I know. I was like, that's a baby.
Oh yeah, no, he's still my.
23.
I did the math. I'm older than his mom, and that hurts.
Oh
That
no.
actually hurts.
Ouch. I was actually gonna say, so the other thing that it's not a spoiler because it's right there on the cover. David, were you the kind of kid who liked to play with toy dinosaurs as a child?
I was.
Like, what
I
do
did
you
not
mean,
have many.
child?
Last week.
I'm trying to think, do I have any?
He's like,
Actually,
there's
looking.
figurines.
there's dragons around the room, but no dinosaurs. No. So
Yeah, and I sometimes make the argument that they're the same thing, and my husband gets really angry. I'm like, but you know, they could be the same thing. He's like, no, it's not. Like,
So
I don't
that's-
know.
you can't really see
They're
them.
like
There's a lot of dragons
cousins.
over there.
Yeah. So what was the inspiration to include something as outlandish as dinosaurs in Rogue Community College? Did you just like, I'm not writing a Jurassic Park sequel, but I'm putting dinosaurs in my book?
Well, first of all, who doesn't like dinosaurs, right?
Everybody loves dinosaurs.
Everybody
It's a
loves
thing.
dinosaurs.
And it's also a bit of a hint because the book does have a sort of so the two comps to it are it's X-Men meets Doctor Who, and there is a bit of a time travel jump thing that occurs. So time is a factor in the spirit realm,
Yes.
and the dinosaurs are a big hint of that because something might wander in from our world and stick around, where they're extinct here, they're fine over there. So it also ties into the concept of the lost ones, and Vran, our emo chaos monkey sea elf love interest, who's wonderful.
Do you have a crush on him? Because I do.
No, because he's kind of like my kid. Like he's much.
Yeah.
Vran's like one of my sons, so it's a weird. I don't have crushes on my characters because I created them all.
I create
Probably
my
the-
characters just so I can have crushes on them.
I was going to say, are we doing it wrong, Jennifer?
I think we're doing it wrong.
I will not.
Oh,
I will not apologize for my Adam
and my
or
Adam.
your Adam. All the Adams.
All the Adams.
We did the cosplay photo shoot for Dark Moon
Yes.
Chalice, and I got models. We got them all dressed up in costumes, and we took.
They
them to
were
the
so
park.
hot, David. I thank you
But
for
that was
putting
the thing.
it on my Instagram before my
But the
Instagram
funny
died.
thing is, it was like taking my kids to the park. It did.
They were like college students, and they were like really professional and all straight. And you're like,
These
really?
are not my characters.
No, they did. They were all the models were super awesome to work with. They were all very professional. But
Yes.
it is funny because people be like, "Oh, the arms of that guy," or they're so hot. I'm like, it was like taking my kids to the park. I was like, I do not, because we filmed it all in a park, and it's like, nope, these were like my sons, man. It was like just a weird vibe when somebody sexualizes one of my characters. And
Oh, sorry. And that's what Allison and I have been doing since we
child.
started.
It's fine. They're not real. Go for it. But
They're
Yeah, I
not
guess-
real.
my
We
character's
cannot
not
sexually
real.
harass made up characters. That's one of the big things is the person real? No, then it's fine. There's no consent when they're not real. You don't have to
Oh.
worry about it.
I don't even know what to do with that.
Yeah,
Moving
it's just
on.
like,
The other aspect, you talk about the lost ones. Do I hear your cat?
Yeah,
Your
my-
cats didn't talk to my cats. My cats may not
Grumpy.
be in here. They were
Grumpy
behind my
locked the
window
door.
earlier.
You can
What
keep
you doing?
talking. I'm just gonna turn off my camera long enough to close them out of the office.
The cat out.
I was just like, no.
He's
let
like,
them
I have to go
in."
rescue my cats. Meow meow. I just have to push my glasses back up on my nose before they completely fall off. There we go. But
My grumpy old man.
no, and one of the things about them being the lost ones and who the main character is where did you get the idea? Like I don't want to spoil what the main character's gifts are, shall we say, but it isn't something I've seen, at least not very common. And I liked that you did that, even though it was a little initially off-putting.
I think we can spoil it. It's on the cover of the book. So
Oh, is it? Okay.
Isaac is a phage, so he's a little bit of a vampire. And if he
Just a little bit.
tastes the blood of a supernatural being, he can temporarily absorb their powers or mimic their powers. And he can also get their memories. So he's He's driving me nuts. I love him so much. But he's
Come here,
driving me crazy. It's that's through the doors, by the way.
He heard that we had cat treats here and would like me to mail you some.
He is so tiny but so loud. And I'll explain that in a minute. But so yeah, so Isaac's power
He's a magical cat.
Isaac's power is kind of gross because he has to taste blood. He doesn't drink it, he's not a vampire, but if he tastes blood, he can also be something of a supernatural bloodhound because the psychic link that blood conveys between him and the host gives him the ability to track that person. So, which makes
and
him
I loved how you used that.
Thank you.
Like, I
adore
loved.
him.
And well, I talked to your cat for a second. I loved how you managed to use it in such a way that you were able to kind of complete a picture that wouldn't have been completed otherwise because of who he was able to follow. So seeing both sides of something because of having like, oh, I've connected to this person and I've connected to that person. And now I see both sides of that. And I thought that was really interestingly done because we see a lot of superpowers used in such a way that it's like, yes, we see that you're strong. Yes, we see that you solve this problem. But I feel like this was like a power of empathy in a way that we don't often see that isn't straight up just, I'm mind reading, Professor X doing all this. Like imagine if Professor X had to roll up in his wheelchair and like lick somebody's
finger and like suckle on it
Patrick Stewart is not doing that. James McAvoy probably would.
I would let James McAvoy do that to me.
First of all, if you've never seen the movie Jeffrey with Patrick Stewart, yes, Patrick Stewart absolutely would do that. Go watch Jeffrey. It's from
what genre movie is this?
It's his over-the-top gay movie.
Sold.
From Patrick Stewart plays this aging old queen, and so here's the premise of Jeffrey is it's the guy who's the lead on Wings. If you ever watched that show,
are we talking Tim Daly or the other one?
I don't know their names, unfortunately, but he's a gay guy who is starting to have a serious crush on this other guy who was the lead on the show The Pretender.
Adrian Pastar.
Yeah, and so they're but
no, Adrian Pastar was Prophet. I'm trying to remember who the one from Pretender is, but I know who you mean. The character's name was Jared, but I don't remember the actor's name.
Yeah. So anyway, he's getting a crush on him, but it turns out that he's HIV positive, and so Jeffrey is having this whole freak out about. And this movie is really important because it was a stage play, of course, first, but it's at the height of the AIDS epidemic, and so it's having this really important conversation of what I think it's 1989, it might be 1990. Sigourney Weaver shows up, Kathy Najimy, like the casting is incredible. Olympia Dukakis, like Patrick Stewart, but Patrick Stewart is absolutely hilarious in this. And it's the first, and I only knew him as Captain Picard. So getting to see him do something more comedic and weird, wonderful movie, highly recommend it. But not for the kids. Don't watch it when the kids are in bed.
Pretty much nothing we watch that we want to watch is children appropriate. Okay, well, I took my kids to see Wicked, but other than that, my younger one cannot sit through an almost 3-hour movie. That would just not happen. But it is, since you mentioned Patrick Stewart, I have to remind everybody that it is Make It So season. So if you haven't seen the horrible viral meme of them clipping together Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard saying all the words to Let It Snow, but then it's Make It So, Make It So, Make It So. It is, I spend too much time on it.
And Patrick Stewart is also completely insane and over the top on American Dad.
Oh, is he?
He's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen American Dad in probably 20 years, but I remember he was the boss on that and just absurd. So I love him, and he can do no wrong in my book, including dress up as a lobster in the bathtub. So you sold us on the movie. I just don't know of all my 800 streaming services which one will have it. So I'll have to do some digging to look for that.
Now it all went silent. So tell us about the cat.
My cat's name is Whisper, and when he was born. Well, when I adopted him very young, he was only a few weeks old when I got him and his brother. His vocal cords were scarred from kennel cough, so he couldn't meow. He could only go. That's the most noise he could make. So he's only 11 pounds. He's a tiny little thing. But several years ago, his vocal cords healed, but he never learned to meow from his mom, which is where kittens learn. and his brother never taught him when he was alive. So now he only has 2 settings: silent and scream. So his name is completely ironic. Because we named him Whisper because he could not make a noise. He's 15
and now
and a half.
he's just like a screaming banshee now.
Yeah, he's 15 and a half. He is my grumpy old man. I don't think that picture will come through well, but that's his brother summoned on him there before we lost him.
Whisper screams through the door. Well, and we are still not sure of our 3 cats. We are not sure whether one of them can meow. Like, we think we've heard it a couple times, but we have not 100% clarified that it's him and not one of the other brothers or one of my kids mimicking them, because they do that, which is really annoying. Like, is the cat hurt? No, that's Bronwyn. She's just making cat noises. But he, like a week and a half after we got him, he had an emergency vet visit because he had an abscess in his neck from where somebody had bit him. It may have been one of the brothers we adopted. It may have been somebody else in the shelter. I'm assuming cat, not like person. No person bit him, just to clarify. But
it was Isaac.
It was
Isaac.
I just wanted the powers controlled by the cat, who might be a Maine Coon. We don't know. But he doesn't really make any noise, and we wonder if they damaged it. So if they heal and then all of a sudden he starts screaming, well, what do you know? If he's just like in the other room. Yep. And right now I sound like that too with my vocal cords just barely. I would be Whisper also. Or just
that's Whisper. He really doesn't mean it, but everyone's like, oh my gosh, is he in pain or is he wants? I'm like, that's
you're like, no, just annoying.
He's just talking to me. He doesn't really need anything.
He's fine. Well, so we're getting Redneck Revenant, right? In next October. What are you working on now?
That's what I was just going to ask.
Well, I stole your thunder. I'll give it back. Go ahead. You ask.
What are you working on now?
Well, so we're live with this.
Oh.
I'm trying to figure out what I can tell you. I'm working on Backwoods Banshee, which is the 5th Adam book, which is contracted. And then we are working on closing the contract and announcing the sequel to Dark Moon Shallow Sea, which is Silent Paths of Night. So that's book 2 in that series. And the really exciting part about all that is that both Backwoods Banshee and Silent Paths of Night should be out in 2026.
Ooh, you are going to be busy.
So you get 2 books. So hopefully starting in 2026, you will be getting 2 books a year from me. Yes. And I'm hoping that pace can continue.
Well, and that might mean then that you can drop something like one of them jobs that you don't want to have, because
one of the day job.
Well, and one of the things I was going to say earlier, and then we moved on, was just the whole, like, I'm sad that you aren't getting to do Dungeons and Dragons. I have been in the pursuit. I should not put this public, but I've been in the pursuit of finding like an online one for my husband to join, because he was in a group for a while that then stopped meeting, and he now has a tutoring session at the same time that they used to meet. So even if they got back, he wouldn't be able to do that. And I know he misses it, and he misses that aspect of it. And I almost wore, and considering how I'm sitting right now, you wouldn't be able to see it. I almost wore his Bard ugly Christmas sweater that I got him last year, because we're like, well, we are the hub bards. We are the bards. That is our thing. So I'm like, you can only play bard characters. He's like, that is not true. I'm like, I think it is though, but he's not playing as a rogue. So if he was a rogue, that would have been perfect. And again, you still can't see my sweater. But I hope you can find a way to get those things back that bring joy and fill it out. And were you running the group? Were you coming up with stories, or were you going off of something that was pre-existing?
Oh yeah, the whole world for the Dark Moon Shallow Sea book, and the series is called Gods of Night and Day, started as a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and I rolled up all the gods. I made stats for everybody, so that if you were a cleric of Phoebe, here's your powers.
I love that.
And it's really nice too, because it gave me a way to test, like, are these monsters scary? Is this concept working? So it gave me a way to play with ideas. And I've had some people out there, readers, reach out because they're running, they want to run like a White Trash Warlock campaign. So they're setting it, in the modern world, and, asking me questions about what kind of class would you put this character in, or if I wanted to try to use this concept.
Do people do D&D set in the modern world? Because I've never heard that, but I'm not as linked.
You can do it kind of the D20. Like, you can do it anywhere. Like, it could be anything.
So there was, in the 3.5 system or the 3.x system, there were actually source books for modern, But I ran my last 5e campaign was sci-fi, and we just used, but we didn't want to use like the Starfinder rules, even though I love Starfinder. We ended up using D&D 5e, and we just said, okay, instead of a crossbow, it's a plasma pistol, right? So I gave people
Just translate the weapon.
Exactly. So I just gave people like more points, as it were, if they could creatively, just reimagine. So rather than, a +1 sword, it's a laser sword. So
Laser sword. Well, we can't say
Awesome.
lightsaber because Star Wars is going to come sue us, and they're owned by Disney, and they really don't. They don't like to share their toys.
They don't like it.
it's really hard too, because playing in that setting, one of the few challenges was getting people to lose their Star Wars. Like there's more beyond Star Wars, like try to be more creative. But I brought in races from Farscape, if you've never watched Farscape.
Love Farscape.
And it was a blast. It was I loved that. I love trying to take something and see if we can't do something else with it.
Yeah, if you played with my husband, he would be completely farscaping at you, and you'd be like, okay, if you start just flatulently responding to things, we are not going to do that, because no one needs just a farting Rigel over there. But I mean, that's part of science fiction, I think. And I love the idea of being able to bring things together, because I mean, I've always called myself a science fiction kind of girl, and people are like, oh, so you love Star Wars. And no lie, up until Adam Driver was in it, I didn't really care that much about Star Wars, and now I'm like, everything is Star Wars because Adam Driver should be in everything, and that's really not the way to assess the entire
Adam Driver is what brought me back to Star Wars. Like I was just like dead to it, and then I'm like, oh gosh,
like,
no.
I feel a stirring.
I have the Poe Dameron helmet up there.
Dameron. Yeah, I mean
the Porg.
I'm like the first love interest in my romance is Adam Driver. The second one is Oscar Isaac. So I mean, I don't. When you say you can't have crushes on your fictional characters, I'm stealing these people, and I make no bones about it. Like if they read and go, "This feels like me," then I did a good job.
Adam Driver is the love interest, or not really love interest, but he's my male lead in like 2 of my books.
Twice. I was going to say, like, I know you've done it at least twice. So,
yeah. There's a site called MyCast that somebody turned me on to. That, if you haven't used it, and what it lets you do is it lets people go in and put in something like White Trash Warlock and then fan cast it. So it was really cute to see people going in and putting in my books and like, this is who they think should play so-and-so. And that was really fun.
Were any of them ones where you went, this is just wrong? Because I had a few people tell me who they pictured as certain characters. I'm like, that is not even close. And I'm trying to remember, somebody told me one character, they're like, yeah, and this one is of this nationality. I'm like, there is absolutely nothing in the book that says that. They're like, yeah, I know, he just is. I'm like, okay.
But that's kind of one of the things I love about it, is that people can basically do their because we all see things differently. Like I didn't quite gel with one of the people's choices for Adam, but people have different. I'm looking at the White Trash Warlock one now. There's one here that and I have to admit, almost none of these would match my choice.
Well, I know that they do some things where they're like, this is how it's described in the book, and then they show the character actor, and then they do like a more realistic, based on what's actually written, like this is how they should look. And sometimes it's like, yeah, let's go with the better looking actor who is someone we can stand to look at for a while.
Oh my gosh.
They're a good actor, so let's not worry about whether or not their height or their hair color exactly matches. Just stick a wig on them, it's fine.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of wigs, the Superman trailer dropped today.
Yes.
Oh no.
Can we just talk about Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner wig? But
wait.
But that's Guy Gardner's hair.
Like a Silver Age comic.
Who is playing the new Superman?
David C. something. He's really cute. He's got the look down.
He has really great Clark Kent look.
Yes, his Clark Kent looks great.
Oh, and Crypto. I screamed.
I'm excited.
Screamed. So for me, it has the vibe.
Are we worried about his hair?
Dave Fillion's playing Guy Gardner.
Okay.
Green Lantern.
All right.
And they really got the wig to look like Guy Gardner's comic accurate hair.
Yeah.
So it is
say
terrible, but Guy Gardner's hair is terrible.
It looks terrible. But like that, it's such vibes of like silver Bronze Age Superman. It is like perfect. I'm like, well, they look ridiculous. Yes,
That's right.
Hot girls in it, Mr. Terrific. I'm ecstatic. I'm really excited for it.
No, I feel like I keep getting the chills. Like I'm just like I was so excited when I saw it, and even like the soundtracks, it's so good. It's like a geek's wet dream. I'm like,
well, I'm looking
I've watched
forward
it
to
like
it
6 times already.
the last Superman that I saw in the theater was such a. I'm just like, what did I just watch?
The Brandon Ruth one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's ruined everything he's been. I've not been a big fan of, but what he's contributed to projects, and maybe it's poor casting. I don't know. Maybe I just don't. I don't vibe with him, so I'm not picking up what he's putting down. I'm just like, I'll pass. Who else you got? And I know that they've been doing a Lois and Clark or Clark and Lois one with some actors I do like, but I haven't seen it.
I haven't watched it either.
I haven't watched it.
I heard good things, to be honest. I heard really good, and I always felt like Tyler Hoshin, I can't pronounce his last name, from Teen Wolf. He's got the right look. Like he looks like I.C. Clarke. But yeah, this looks fun. And whenever I go see a superhero movie, or a Star Wars movie, my policy is to just go be a 10-year-old and to not, because my writer brain will start picking everything apart and being like, I would have done that differently. I would do this differently.
Yeah. Don't be comic book guy for that. Just enjoy it. And yeah, I can't pronounce Tyler's last name either. It's like Hoagland. I don't know which letters I'm supposed to pronounce, so someone would have to help me there. And then I think the woman is Elizabeth, sometimes known as Bitsy Tulloch, and she was on Grimm, and I enjoyed her on that. But I've had a crush on him since Teen Wolf, and then was kind of freaked out when I realized he was the kid in he was the kid in Road to Perdition. So I'm like, you were an actual child. So hands off. That's creepy again. Like, brought it all the way back to creepy.
Brought it as you should. David, you have been spectacular. I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk to you today. Everybody who's watching this live or watching the replay, make sure that you go and get a copy of Rogue Community College. It is so much fun.
And there's going to be an ebook.
There's going to
be an ebook sale promo starting on the 2nd of January and running for a week for it to be 99 cents across like all ebook platforms too.
Oh, nice.
I was going to tell people to do the Audible like I did, because your audios are always so well done. So
Michael does a great job. Michael David Axel is my narrator. He's amazing.
Even though there was no music during the montage scene, that we can just hum our own, because you can't expect the narrator to be like, and now it's time for a montage, and then he goes back to reading, because that would just be a little weird.
Little much.
It's fine.
But David, thank you for being with us. And everyone, Allison and I are doing our eggnog extravaganza episode on Sunday at what time?
Whatever. We have
sometime on Sunday. I already have my eggnog and
I need to get eggnog.
Christmas. I couldn't get a Christmas sweater, but I got a Christmas shirt, and it will be delivered tomorrow.
I don't know if mine has arrived or will arrive in time, so I've been told I can steal any of my husband's that he has, and he has a just as timely and just as tacky shirt that I bought him, which did arrive. So I will be awful regardless. Hopefully I'll have more voice, but I will look ridiculous.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. So that is sometime Sunday when we recap our year, talk about the books we've read on the show, off the show, and just have shenanigans, eggnog shenanigans. Shenanigans. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you Sunday.
Bye.